This video is going to show you how to use the settings area of your account. So we're going to scroll down to the very bottom left, the very bottom of the left-hand menu and hit the settings tab just here. So now that we're in the settings area, you'll find that there's a whole bunch of options across the top of different things to set with your settings, right? So I'm going to quickly talk through what these are. I will go quite quickly through this because a lot of this is very basic information that really you'll just need to put in yourself, or it might already be pre-populated. So your company logo here will basically, you can change this and add it by up here. You just hit the change button and you can upload a logo. You can put all your details in right here in terms of your website. If you need an API key for any integrations, make sure you find that just here. That's very relevant if you're using a platform like Zapier. You'll need to find that API key here. So that's your API just there. If you make any changes here, just make sure to hit that update company button here. You can then make any changes to your company address. Very important that you set your time zone correctly, because when you start using the booking appointments feature, this will work off your time zone. So make sure right from the beginning, before you go and create any calendars or anything like this, that you've definitely got your time zone set correctly. And then again, hit that update address. Now, a few advanced features that you'll find in this first tab are in this general settings to do with duplicate contact, Facebook names, and contact time zone. So your duplicate contact basically allows for, if somebody re-opts into your system, that they can be created as a new contact, even if there's already relevant records in the system. The merge Facebook contacts by name means exactly what it says. So if you have somebody who is comes in via like a lead ad on Facebook, and they're already in the system with the same email and same name, same first name, last name, this system will merge the two contacts together rather than have two separate contacts. And the disabled contact time zone basically means that on the calendars, everything will always work in your agency, like your business time zone, right? Instead of people being like it already, detecting the leads time zone. So that's an advanced feature you may choose to use. By default, that will be off, and that is the way that most calendars would normally function. So that's that area here. Let's have a look at team management now. So this is where you manage your employees and team, and we're going to talk about this in detail here. So you already have a user access, otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this video. And if you're an admin, then you can actually add employees to it. If you're not an admin and you're as a user, you won't have this option. However, either way, this is how this feature works. You can basically put in their name, email, and phone number here and set a password. You can set an email signature, which will be used by that user when sending emails in the conversations. It'll attach this email signature. And you can select a calendar here. So if you have a calendar that's allocated to that user, then that is where you choose this calendar here, but you'd have to have already created this. So this might be something that you come back to when you've already done that. Same, if you have multiple phone numbers, you can actually allocate a particular number to that user. So if you are using calls in a campaign, the number and you're using the campaign ability to allocate contacts to a user, the relevant phone number for this user will come from here, right? Again, this is an advanced feature. You may not need to use it, but it is an option. If you have multiple numbers, you can allocate them to certain users. Okay, now user permissions. So this is where it changes, because if you're an admin, you likely have all of this. If you're a user, you may only have certain things, right? So the way this works is to understand whether or not this person can see the stats on the dashboard, whether or not they can see the automation campaigns. And there is a checkbox here called read only. And if you mark that, what it means is that this particular user can see the various emails and messages that you've set up in a campaign, but they're not able to edit it. Okay, so that's what that means. Triggers, opportunities, contacts, online listings, settings, tags is basically the ability to even see any of these things, and then they can change them if they can see them. Same for appointments, bulk requests, funnels, that's the funnel builder, conversation, reviews, phone call. All these settings just determine whether or not this user can even open these areas. And a more advanced field here, this only assigned data. What that means is, for example, in your opportunities sales pipeline, you have the ability to allocate contacts to different users. Now, you can also do this automatically, like a round robin system, or it can be done manually. And what this will do is if you flick this on, it means that this particular user will only see the opportunities assigned to them in their opportunity dashboard when they log in, right? So if you have a lot of contacts or a lot of information in that area and you just want to make it more simple for people to see what they need to see, that's what this feature is for. And then the user role is basically user or admin. And the main difference here is that a user will not be able to create more employees and logins, whereas the admin will. That's the primary difference there, which is basically going through what I just showed you here. So if you can't see what I've just shown you here, it means that you're a user. Okay, so once you add someone in there, very important, hit that save button. For now, I'm just going to hit cancel. Important to note that that won't trigger an email to that user, so you do still need to notify them of their login details, which is the email that you just sent, and their password that you set. The next setting is email here, which is to do with reviews. Now, reviews we cover in a separate video. Same with SMS. These are to do with the reviews function. So I'm going to skip through, same with customized communication. We're going to skip through this. All this is covered in depth when we talk about reviews. Same with the review widget. Now, the appointment widget, though, we'll talk briefly on. This is where you'll come back to. Once you've created calendars, you can select the calendar here. And if you need to grab the code to embed that as a pop-up or embed the calendar as just to be able to be seen on a particular web page, this is where you do that. Now, if you're using the built-in funnel builder, you won't need to do that because you can just embed the calendar via a calendar embed. But if you are putting this on your own separate website, then this is where you get that code. Pipelines is where you actually create your pipelines and set them up. So I have a couple of example ones here, but for the purpose of explaining this, I'm going to create one from scratch. So we're going to say we're going to create this pipeline, and this one's going to be the demo pipeline. I've already got one called that. So we'll call this the tutorial pipeline. Okay, so this is the tutorial pipeline, and then you have various stages. So the stages are basically, if you think about a traditional sales pipeline, somebody usually comes in as a lead, then they might go to a second stage as having booked a phone call or booked a consultation. They might progress to something like a demonstration, and it might be as simple as that. It's up to you how complex you want to make this. However, it's important to note that you don't need to have a separate stage for whether or not the person has become a client or not, because that's something that's managed by status. So in other words, I can set this up like this and say I've got a lead stage, and I've got a booked call stage, and I've got a attended call stage, and that's it, right? And what I could do then is, and you'll see this in the opportunities explanation, if somebody attends that phone call, if they decide not to sign up, I can simply mark them as lost. If they can't make a decision and they want to, you want more follow-up with that person, you might just leave it as open. But if they do sign up, you change it to 1. So the point is that they don't actually change stage in the pipeline. They're changing of status, right? So that's where we set up our pipeline by stage. And you can always use these buttons here to reorder a pipeline, basically like this. You can see what I'm doing here. So that's more relevant if you have an existing pipeline and you need to move things around. So lead, booked call, attended call, that's what we're going to leave this as right here. Okay, and you can always come back here. You can delete a pipeline with the delete button here, or you can edit an existing one just by clicking on this little pencil. And of course, as you just saw me do, you can create a brand new pipeline from here. Now, integrations is where you integrate various platforms. So common ones that you will use is integrating your Google account so that you can link up your calendar, linking up your Facebook account so that you can connect your Facebook page messenger, messenger messages via your so they'll come up in your conversations, and also incorporate a direct integration with your lead ad forms. And then you have other integrations to do with other accounts, QuickBooks, Clio, and Dr. Chrono here. And you can also accept payments as products in the funnel, or even accept payments for appointments. And this is in the Stripe account area just here. And there will be a separate video on how to integrate your Stripe account. But effectively, as you can see here, you're just grabbing the publishable key and the secret key from here. Now, the next one is your phone numbers area. So this is where you will set your phone number. So the precursor to this is that you have your Twilio account allocated to your account. Now, if you haven't done that, that is covered in a separate video. For this video, we've assumed that that's already connected, that you have a Twilio account and that you've already connected. Now, depending on what country you're in, the process from here can vary. So in most countries, you can simply hit add number here and it will, you just choose your country. So say, for example, we wanted United States. You can just hit search, or you can say I want it with, for example, I want 252 to be in the number, and I can search that. And you can see I'll come up with all the numbers with that as the prefix. Or if I'm not really fussed, I can just delete that and I can hit search. But generally what this is allowing you to do is to put in your area, in that area code area, so at least your number is relevant to your local area. So if that's important, you can do that. You just select the number, hit save, and what it will do is it'll automatically, it will add that number to your associated Twilio account and add it to the system here. Now, once it's there, if you have multiple numbers, you can select the default number that's used when you dial out. And then there's a couple of things you need to set. One is, where does it go to if somebody rings? So it's important to understand this is a true two-way SMS and two-way calling system, whereby if you're sending messages, if somebody messages back, yes, it comes back into your platform, but if they ring the number, it also forwards to wherever you want it to go. So that's where that sits there. The SID feature there is related to the integration with your Twilio. And then you have these two features here, enable call recording and enable call recording message. So what this means is that you can enable call recording by switching this on, and Twilio will record the call, and the call recordings will sit in your phone calls area in the left-hand menu here. Now, the second toggle will add an automatic voice message when the call connects, reminding people or informing people that this call will be recorded. So technically, if you've got one on, you should have the other on, but you can actually do them separately if you choose. So I'm going to leave them both off in this case. It's important to note that if you do use that call recording feature, that does attract some direct cost through your Twilio account. So it's important to note that. Once you've made whatever changes you want, just hit the save button. Okay, the next area we're going to look at is your bulk email, and this is where you set up where your emails forward to, right? So again, Mailgun is the platform that your automation platform here works via to deliver your automatic emails. What you're setting here is if somebody replies to that email, where do you want that to go? So in this demonstration account, we've got a dummy account here that it forwards to our team at fitnessonfire.com.au. You can also add in additional emails as BCC addresses here if you want additional copies to go somewhere else. So that's purely if someone hits the reply to one of your automated emails, it will come through to your email address there, right? The next one is your calendars, as to where you create your calendars. Now, I'm going to show a separate video on how to actually create calendars and use them, but enough to say that here is literally where you create your booking calendars, whether that's for phone calls or in-person appointments or maybe video demonstrations, it's all done in here. So that's a separate video as to how to actually manage and create and manage calendars, but this is where we come in and do that. So important to note, you might have said, well, didn't we already talk about calendars? So the area I showed you before is the appointment widget. This is to do with how you display your calendar to a user, but your calendars area is where you actually make those settings, right? So I will dive into that in a video all about calendars and we'll cover that, but enough to say this is where your calendars are. Your message templates basically come up here. You can add text or email templates. So text refers to SMS, and what it means is that text SMS, right? So what it means is that I can say, okay, this is a template that basically means I'm going to call this the address template. I'll send address, and I can say our address is 123 Smith Street. You can add in custom values and trigger links here. Now, again, those are covered These are covered in when we talk about campaigns, is where we're going to talk about what comes into this. And you can attach a file to this as a template. And what that means is that now when I'm in the conversation view, I can select the address auto response and it will automatically type this out. Just quickly, I will show you one thing that you might choose to use. You might say sure thing and put in custom values contact first name. Right, so that's an example, and what that does is it automatically puts their first name into the message, right? So we'll just leave that there for the minute, and then we have, sorry, and you can do the same thing for things you might want to put in as email templates as well, just via add email template. If you want to edit them, you just use this edit button here or hit the delete trash can here. It's very similar if you're familiar with other systems to think about canned responses where you can just quickly pick something that you're often saying to people and it just automatically goes in and you can send it. Custom fields this is where you're going to have areas set up from what you've added as custom fields in your forms and surveys, right? So typically, like you may not be creating these here, but that's where you'll manage them. So when we create forms and you have, or if you have custom forms in there, this is where we set these up. So if you had, for an example, a custom field created already, in this case, we have what is the result that you're looking for, and you wanted to change that, this is where you need to come back to make those edits. So in this case, I can hit the edit button here and go through to, okay, I can say what is the, I might say I just want this to say what is the result and hit save. And then we have our Facebook form fields mapping. This is something we'll cover in another video to do with hooking up your lead ads. And then we have custom values, which is all about custom values that reflect across your account. Now, what this means is that you can say, okay, I want a certain person's name, like the director's name, to be in all the emails, and I'm going to set it here. So if it ever changes, I just have to change it here. So that's something we're going to talk about when we cover the campaign builder because it'll make more sense there. Domains is where you manage domains associated with your funnel builder, and that's covered in the funnel builder videos. And tags is where you manage your tags, but tags is again covered when we talk about your campaigns. So that's a very quick overview of settings for this video.